the topic for the lecture today is how to work with form data, and we have done some of this, as I mentioned, so it will be maybe an extended review for you. And I think it makes sense to actually code a form together first. So do the coding example, and then we're going to look at the lecture afterwards. The example we're coding is going to do the following. You have a form. So the forms have, this form has different types of forms besides the input type. And so if you put your information there, and then click submit, then you're going to get on the display results a summary of the form data that was submitted. So let's learn how this works and code this together.
That's just showing you what was submitted, but it's not actually putting it in your database, or it is?
It's not putting it in the database, but it's submitting it to the PHP engine. So this is this part of what we're doing, right? So to put it in a database, you have to use SQL statements, right? We can't put this directly in the database. What we would have to do is we would have to use PDO. But we're capturing this information, and today we're going to talk about how we capture this information, right?
What is the process for grabbing stuff from like a user coming in and inputting their information?
We're about to do exactly
Okay,
that.
so this is the first part, and then there's, so when you want to get somebody's information, you have them input all the information and it goes into the PHP engine. And then do you have to then go in and put it into the database?
Yes, that's what I'm drawing right now. So this is the HTML, and it's going to have a form. And this is where the user is going to enter user data, right? Such as this one. And then you use PHP to capture this data. So like display or whatever you want to do. You capture the data with PHP, and that's what we're about to do today in class. And once you have something translated, if you will, from HTML to PHP, and it's available in PHP, then you can use PDO to put it in the database. And we only learned, because I guess maybe we should go back to this, but we learned how to select data from the database in your homework and in the example reading class. But we talked about the fact that the same process would also work for you to insert data into the tables. And this is what you need to do. You actually need to use the insert SQL statement to put it in the database.
So that's,
Right.
because I'm still kind of curious about this difference between when you get it from, when you have it in your PHP engine and you're taking it to the PDO to get it to the database. Is that something that is done automatically?
No, this is what we did last time.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but I mean, how would a business do it? I mean, you wouldn't want to have to go and do that every single time somebody entered in your user information, would you?
Well, you're running a program, so in a sense, you're not doing this every time, but you have a program that will handle this for you.
Okay.
So in that sense, it's automated.
So yeah, you spend the time building it once, and then it should always work.
Right. So you have a system set up in place that when the user enters data, you capture it in PHP, and then you use PDO, or there is an older form as well, to put it in the database.
Okay.
Right? And maybe that's one project we can work on to today. I think we have time essentially to do this part.
Yeah.
But then we can connect what we did last week. Do you see though that the same PDO object? It's just we use it to select data from a database, but we can also insert and update. And so
Right.
actually, it will be update, maybe not insert them.
Here's a kind of left field question. Where would the object,
I will answer this. Just wanted to point out that let's say you have a new user, then you're going to insert their data. Let's say you have an update. you're going to update. So these are two different SQL statements.
Okay.
And if you want to display it, then let's say they say, I want you to tell me what books do you have that are with a title containing PHP. Then you're going to use the same process, but you're going to select. And that's what we did last time. We used select to select customer IDs and products from a table. Right. So your question was, where does the PDO reside?
Oh, the object?
Well, you're going to create the object in PHP. So maybe you have a display PHP file, or you're just going to have another PHP file. Let's say database process.php. And here is where you, let's say you create your database, and then the steps are the same. Create database, and then using the PDO object, you're going to create a query that is going to be insert into or update, and then it's going to contain. So that's,
Okay.
again, it builds on, we did this part last time, but we still have a PHP file, we just have a different PHP file, just so we can organize it. Otherwise, we could put it all in one huge PHP file.
Yes.
Right, yeah, okay. And so we're displaying this so we can see them. Normally you would not, the point is that we want to capture it, but
Yeah.
we're displaying them just so we can see them, but what you do otherwise would be to probably put it in the database. So let's go ahead and create this part of the program. So brackets. So name your project folder, maybe form data example. Actually, I'm going to give you the copy of the CSS so we don't spend time dealing with that right now.
Is it the same as the chapter 7 exercise?
Yeah. So code share. This doesn't connect for some reason to the Wi-Fi here, so. Do you want me to post it, or do you know how to get the main.css? I guess I'll post it. Okay, I'll post it. But I need 1 second because I have to transfer since this doesn't seem to be connecting to the Wi-Fi for reasons unknown. Okay. Chapter 7.
Actually, it's really not like that. It's really the same view. Yeah, not like-
Today's May 31st. Sorry, I should have done this earlier. But here it is. So these little details. Okay, I just uploaded a main.css in week 9. Please download it and save it to your project folder. And now back to brackets. All right, so we just have one file to create, and it's going to be index.php. Actually, two, the index and the display. But we'll start with index.php. HTML. Oops. Right. Huh. Let's see, what did I do here? Sorry, but I think I have selected a different keyboard, so let me Chinese, all right? English. Okay. And then in the head, go ahead and link to the HTML, to the rather CSS file. And we can add a title, account sign up. Okay. Main element. Account sign up, and then our form. Action. Display results. .php. Method. Post. So as I said, this should be a lot easier than last time because it's not necessarily new. It's a lot of it is something you have done before. All right, and then we're going to create a field set. So the field set, does anyone remember what that does? It's a HTML5 element. Are you raising your hand?
Yeah, it puts a border around.
It's going to put a border around.
Yeah.
And then the legend is going to correspond to the
Yeah.
account information in this case. That's right. And okay, so this is our first field set with the legend of account information. And then we're going to add the label, email, and input. We have an input control. Type is going to be text. Name is going to be email. Value is going to be blank. And class is going to be text box. And break. And text box is a class from the main.css, so it's just a formatting. Oh, okay, I forgot. I can't even test HTML because it's with a PHP extension. In the same field set, after the break, so we're going, this was our email, then we're going to add a password. So label, password, input, type, password, name, password, value, blank, and class, text box. And then a break. And then a phone number. So this is our first field set, and one of the purposes of this exercise is that we're going to add several different form controls so you can see how to work with all of them. This is the most common one, the input, but we also have many different types of form controls, radio button, drop-down list, checkbox. So we're going to learn how to process all of them with PHP. So the second, so we are all still in the form, but we have a second field set. So after we close the first one, we're going to open the second field set. Legend, settings. And now we're working here, right? I don't know if I need to show you this, but now we're working on this part. So here is where we're going to call the form elements for radio button, checkbox, drop-down menu, and text area. And that pretty much covers, you know, the most, maybe the most common types, arguably. All right. So now with the settings, we're going to add a paragraph. How did you hear about us? Input, type, radio. Name, heard from, value, search engine. the display text and the break. So let me point out something already. What's going to happen is that we're going to be essentially converting the name attribute of the form to PHP variables. So that's how these are going to connect when we work with the PHP. And that's why it makes sense to name them the same. The PHP variables are going to be the same as the name attribute of the form, except they're going to have a $sign in front of them. You don't have to do that. They can be different names, but that can only cause confusion. So it makes sense that the name attribute is consistent with the variable in PHP, okay? Then we have a second input type. If you like, maybe we can just copy and paste this here. So copy and modify. So we have 3 radio buttons. The second one, the type is of course radio. The value is still, sorry, the name is still heard from, except the value is going to be friend. And then the user is also going to see friend. Actually, to be consistent here, we'll say word of mouth. That's just what the user sees. You don't hide. And then the last one is going to be heard from other. And the display for the user is also other. And this is our radio box, radio buttons, rather, and then we're going to add next a checkbox. I'll give you a moment to hear a lot of typing. Next, for the checkbox, we're going to ask a question. Would you like, in a paragraph, would you like to receive announcements about new products and special offers? Now the input type is going to be, can you guess? Checkbox. The name, wants underscore updates. And by the way, this is also why we're using the name conventions, as you can see here with underscore, that they're going to map easily to PHP. We just add the $sign. So name is wants updates. And then the text is going to be, yes, I would like to receive information about new products and special offers. And then still in the field set, the next one is going to be a select or drop down select form. So we're going to say contact via in a select. The name is equal contact underscore via. And then the options. Email. Text. Text message. And phone Almost done with the form. And then lastly, we're going to have a comment text area. So comments. Text area, name, comments, rows 4, columns 50, close the field set, close the form, close the main, the body, and the HTML. Okay, so this is our form. And let's take a 10-minute break. And when we come back, we're going to create the PHP site that actually captures the form data. And then you can upload it and test it.
No. Yeah, but you just kind of, there are days where I'm like, you know what, I actually don't have time to Mary because of the car, so I'll stay like 30 minutes and climb more, or I'll push myself hard on it. Category ID. Category ID. So it's saying find us. And then it's just in the database. My category ID group, which is like that.
Yeah.
So the thing is, like, on one homework, I did it exactly. And also I do
I
that.
spent, I'm so late to class, but, I spent like several hours with Mark on Thursday.
Yeah, I talked about that.
You talked to him
Yeah, we
about
did talk about it. We talked about it before we got here.
But did Mark talk to you about it?
Yeah. So, so I could not reproduce what Mark and you were experiencing, but I'm on GoDaddy. But before you got to class, Damien said that he solved it by removing the address table. So delete the address table, and I guess Tatiana said the same, and try uploading it again. And that should solve it. You had a problem with that?
Yeah, I just got a fatal error.
The 290.
Yeah.
Oh, so the 290, another thing is if you clear cache from your web browser and you do it again, it'll let you log in. So if you just erase your history and go back in and fix it.
There we go. So you can count extension, I guess, but that works. You just have to play around with it a little bit. And for some reason, I didn't even have the problem.
See,
Aaron and I on GoDaddy didn't have the problem at all, but I know it's how you get it. And that's what the solution is, I guess. Delete the address table and clear the cache if it's not aligned.
That's what it is for just the left. Now we're
Just let me know whenever you need to know. Not whenever, near future.
I only had, 4 hours to do the homework on Thursday.
So you don't want to. No, you can give an extension, but it's good that you should find out how did you find out that's interesting. In terms of problem solving, how did you figure out?
It kept the error message in this 290 thing.
Okay.
I Googled it, copied the message and I Googled it and sent it. And I tried to create the other tables and they were okay. So I said, okay, this is what's giving me the error. So I went to PHP my admin and they have that interface, like new table, and I used that annoying, like,
So you just
but
got it by hand.
yeah.
But
And then-
It's a good exercise, I guess, if you want.
Yeah, I did the same process. I just did your group to my.
Yeah.
It is from PHP, I don't know how to connect everything. It's just really-
Yeah,
it-
I had to clear
I
my
don't know how to,
cache.
what to,
17
so I
tables.
open up
Oh my
this,
So,
Probably really, really strict, right?
PHP, the one that.
yeah, so the problem, not the problem, but the challenge is that it's kind of distributed. Some of it you do from the Dreamhost
Yeah.
interface, that's where you create a table.
Yeah, I got
Then you
that
go to PHP my admin link.
And I put in it for the inserted the.
Did it work for you?
populated- Yeah, it
Because
worked
it didn't
today.
work? Okay, because it didn't work for, all right,
It worked today, but it didn't yesterday, all day.
okay. Yeah, so I don't know why I guess Dreamhost has an issue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just a cache. If it doesn't, I think what happens is, whatever you're uploading for the database too, if it doesn't like it, then it just gives you that error, so you clear the cache, so it doesn't recognize it for your
Yeah,
user history.
to your browser history.
History in the browser.
What was I going to say? Okay, well, let's see if we can finish this example and then you have some more time and we can look around. The one thing I was going to say actually was, I don't know if any of you came to Blake Schwartz's talk.
Yeah.
So he was talking exactly about the fact that when he works in a new environment with, kind of legacy setup, including PHP, things are messy. And you just have to dig in, roll up your sleeves and dig in and research what the problem is, because that's the reality of working with PHP. And it looks like the newer frameworks with JavaScript are going to make this maybe less messy, but you need to know how to, you need not let errors necessarily stop you.
Yeah.
You're gonna work on that, huh?
Right.
Or maybe just don't compute it over.
Just Google all the errors, they're all there.
They're all there.
And like the
Everyone-
first, yeah, somebody has experienced it. The first or second hit you get when you research the answer probably will not be the right one. even though you might think it is. You have to maybe third or fourth search will give you the right response. It's interesting, just so you can appreciate. So Android installs the Google drivers so you can connect to the Google phone. Windows 10 tells you that they're installed, but actually it doesn't, it removes them, or somehow they're not actually there. And so my TA for the Android class ended up going to a user forum. It's not Google, it's not Microsoft, it's a user forum. And he found a executable written by just, some guy, which allows you to solve the problem. So, I'm sorry?
That would look good on our resume.
Yeah, that should look good, right, exactly. So yeah, it's just the nature of the beast in a way. But let's finish our form data file, and then you can have, hopefully, if I stop talking and start typing, you can have some time to work on your, whatever you need to work on. Okay, so assuming that our form data is fine, PHP, we can't really test it unless we save as HTML, but I think we'll be okay. Go ahead and start a new, save this file, please, and then new, and save as, all on the same level. This is going to be the display results.php.
I don't have any PHP in this document.
No,
Index PHP.
it's going to be in the display, because take a look here. Let's see.
Well, I was just really curious why we called it index.php.
We could call it index.html. Yeah, there is no reason. But so take a look though. Here is the file, and then you type and you submit, and that's when the second file comes. So it's going to match. It's going to map what we're seeing in the.
Did we do a submit button?
Huh.
Yeah, no.
Oh, you know what? We forgot to do that. I forgot to do that. Yeah, so we need to add a submit button. And this will happen inside the form after the last field set. Thanks for spotting that. Input type equals submit, and value equals submit, and a break. So we need to have that submit to submit the form. We submit the form is going to go to display results.php, because that's what we told it in the form action field, right? All right. So let's go ahead and create display results.php.
Can you go back?
Yeah, you want to go to the index? Sure, go ahead, please. Okay. So now PHP, get the data from the form. And now, so $email variable in PHP is going to equal to filter input post. Do you remember filter input, or should we look up this function? Input post, email, filter, validate, email. So filter input, PHP. The filter input function gets an external variable such as from a form input and optionally filters it. The function is used to validate variables from insecure sources such as user input. So this is our function we're using, and it has several required and optional parameters. The first one is the type. In our example here, we're using post, so it's going to be the input post. You can also get, and these are the values that the type can have, you can check for. And then the name of the variable to check, and then optional filter specifies the ID or the name of the filter to use, such as filter default, or in our case, filter validate email. And these filters example, validates an email address, and there are different filters for different validations. So you pass it as a parameter to the function, and it's going to do the validation for the type. Does this make sense? Right, so that's what we're doing in our example. We have the email, we have the password. So the next one is going to be password. And the same thing, filter input. And if you had a get, it would be the same. If your method was get, you'd use the input get array rather than post, but everything else remains the same. Password. And then phone. So now that you have these variables in PHP, then from here you can backtrack and connect that hopefully in your mind with a PDO object. You can actually now take these variables and then insert them through a query in a database. And if we have time, we can at least look at, go back to the lecture 4 notes and look at an example of what it would look like. All right, so the phone is going to be again filter input. So very exciting, it's sort of repetitive. But once you write it once, then it's very reusable. Okay, so these were our input fields. The heard from was a radio button, so that's a little different. So we're going to have a variable heard from, which is equal to filter input input post heard from. And you can see here how we have matched the name of the variable with the name, with the value of the name attribute from the form. Do you see this, or do you want me to show you the form? Do you see where these come from in the form? It's going to be the value of the name. So far we use the name, email, password, and phone. So the name attribute is the one we connect with PHP. And then heard from is where we are now. Okay, and this is a radio button, so we're going to say if heard from is equal to a null. So these are sort of standard practices, and then that's why I thought it's a good idea to do this example together, and then you have it as a reference for future use. If heard from is equal null, then heard from is going to be equal to unknown. So if we didn't select anything, then we're we're going to make this unknown. Okay. Next one is the want updates. And this is the checkbox. So we're going to say $wants updates is equal to. Now this is going to use the post array because this is stored in an array format, and the name of the associative index, the string index, is wants underscore updates. And if is set, which is a function of PHP, as you can see, changes color, wants updates, then wants updates is going to be set to yes, else wants updates will be set to no. The next one is the contact. So it's a contact via filter input post, and then the last one is the text area, which had the name value was comments. So comments is going to equal to filter input post comments. And so here is something new. The comments are written by the user, and so they can, this is one way that if the user has, malicious intent, if they put some scripts in here, that's how cross-site scripting attack can be introduced in PHP and even in the database. And so the practice, the secure practice to get to strip those tags before you actually accept them in PHP is by using our special character chars function that we talked about, which is going to convert the tags to HTML entities. So this will be our next step. So comments is going to equal to HTML special chars comments. And something else that's probably new. Also, the user might have entered return carriage. So they say a couple words and then return. So the way to convert this into PHP is with the NL2BR function. So that's a new function. I don't think we have worked with it yet, which has to go after the HTML special chars. So it's going to be comments is equal to NL2BR. Nicely named, right? $, comments, and false. And let me close the PHP. The NL2BR has actually four different parameters. So let's look it up. We haven't seen it yet. So insert line breaks where new lines occur in the string. So the user is entering a string, and then you make that into NL2BR as such. So the letter is the string name that you are converting, and then by default, it's going to use XHTML, which is the previous, now it's an old version of HTML. And then you can say, if you leave it as, so I forgot, true or false. The default is true, okay. So if the default is true, then you're going to use the BR with a slash, which is the XHTML. You might have noticed in your using HTML that you can use either of these two, right? Sometimes you can add BR and it doesn't have a slash. The difference is that the one with the slash comes from XHTML. So if you're going to leave this true, then you're going to it's going to insert this kind of break, or if you set it to a false, it's going to insert the HTML break without it. And this is the NL2BR. The second this is optional. So that means you don't have to put it there. If it's false, then we're going to be using BR without the slash. So that's what that means. Okay, and then close the PHP. And then we're going to display. Now we're going to code this, in other words, what gets displayed. So let's go ahead and code this here. Okay, so we have to create an HTML page. And link to the CSS file. And then in the body, main, H1, account information. And then we're going to create this output. So label, email, address, and we're going to put a PHP here. Echo, HTML, special chars, email, and we're going to repeat the same process for the rest of the form values. But is this pretty clear? It sounds you should be able to follow, right? Okay. Do you have any questions? Scroll down. Okay. All right. I'll hold off a minute so you can catch up, and then we'll finish it, upload it, and test it. All right, so this was the email address, and then we have the, so that's not a form, right? We're just displaying the output with the label here. Password. I guess we can just, okay, so first of all, please go ahead and add a break so we can split those pennies and inline, and add a break at the end of it. And maybe it's easier if we copy and repurpose the same, since it's exactly the same element. So the second one is going to be a password. And the difference is that this is going to be the password. So we got it, we stored it in PHP and played back in HTML from PHP, right? Password, phone number, phone, and updates. With the send updates, we are actually going to output yes or no, which we set ourselves, so we don't need to use the HTML special characters. And we're just going to echo once updates. Do you remember when we were working with once updates?
We find one to
we-
yes.
Yeah, we essentially set the value ourselves from PHP, so there is no, we're not actually printing the user input, and that's why we're just saying echo. All right, and what else do we have? We have a couple more. Contact via. So contact. And this will be the contact via. And the last one is the comments. HTML entities, so we can just echo comments. Sorry, $sign comments. Okay. And then we're going to add a blank paragraph here with in non-breaking space entity. If this any typos, then you should be able to upload this to your server and then enter information on the form and test that it displays properly the results. So let me know if you have another one and then upload it and test it. So that will be next task. So you can check when you get there, so you can start looking for them. So Yeah, which one is that?
It's all the way at the top of the PHP,
The display results.
wants updates.
Okay. You getting the error still?
Undefined index.
Check to make sure that you named it the same in your HTML, I guess. Once underscore updates.
Yeah. This is the filter validate caught the at Gmail. What did I do wrong?
Nice.
No, they rectified it.
You could do this one. Well, she was having an error with the index. This there, what Nico was getting is undefined index, so I'm thinking maybe the name.
Well, those things were like, it's not like email address. I mean, this is the real. Like, look, it's got it right. So I'm thinking it has the app and it has the bulk.com.
Yeah. Well, it was so loud and it didn't show up. It wouldn't crash it.
Which one just showing it?
Is your name in the column, like the, is it found here, check that, it says found there?
That's deep.
I was like, I always miss one thing.
This might be, that's very removed from where they are.
Whatever has that email address, which is so
If you get paid for emails, you know, advertiser. It doesn't work. You know what you should do, though?
Okay, if I can have your attention for a moment. So let's say that you have a user in your database already, and then you captured from their product, but let's say just product ID and price. So somehow you have to see PHP information, right? And we have just done the work to capture information from a form and store it in PHP variables, right? Does it connect? All right. And now if we have that, then we can execute an update SQL statement. And this is how you would move the data from the PHP variable to the database. And you insert. If it's a brand new, for example, you can insert. So what we have right now is we have all these PHP variables and do they want to be contacted? And they're stored in PHP variables. And then you could say, I want you to insert into, in our case, maybe it's the user, into the user table. This information with these values are going to come from the variables, and we have to do this mapping between, remember how we had to do the mapping between the SQL statement and the name of the variable in PHP, but that's how, if you wanted to, you can even try this. You'd have to create a table and insert in the database. Does this make sense? Okay, we just didn't have time to do this, but maybe.
In our case, we would need to say code equals strat because the user inputted that information. We would just say code and then like insert into.
Actually, here is where we're going to get this wrong. That's where we're converting. So we put in email.
Update.
So it kind of gets converted like three. So you have the initial when they put it in as name is the first time right there.
Yeah.
And then you bind it, which does to the SQL and prepare it as
Right?
That's the idea.
Yeah, if you get it once and then you can reuse it and just make some changes to it. Exactly. All right.
When it still isn't working, you know what you're at.
Are you still getting the same?
Is the right one. I don't know, I'll figure it out. It's probably something really silly.
What are you? Apple or some other?
Yeah, I'm,
Do you think that might have to
it might.
Probably not, right? Where are you open?
I don't know. Let's try it in the brackets.
All right. So which is complaining about which
It's complaining about wants updates.
so you have 3 places to check. Down here to make sure that this is correct.
On the checkbox.
Yeah, on the checkbox. Especially that the name wants updates matches. And then in the PHP, check this statement. And then scroll down and check where you're displaying it back to the user. Okay, if you can finish with this example and it's working for you, then you can, if you like, start looking at the homework, or I think some of you do homework, but you can last time until again in class.
Yeah, that's supposed to validate.
Was oh,
On mine, it's gonna be, I think we use that, once updates, so it's functioning, like, yes. Not really about anything wrong.
you know what?
It's kind of
I like how this
Let's see. Maybe you can double check the syntax for the $_post. Did you spell this correctly? The name of the function itself? Huh. Somebody else has the same error as you.
Yeah.
Damien, can you see if you're getting an error? What is it? The error index must be a string?
No, just 1 second. It is. I did this once updates.
Oh.
And I just put it right in the middle.
Is the same?
So, wait,
Yeah.
because I think it should work, because PHP Fiddle doesn't have the link to
Oh,
the
yeah.
page.
But you're also getting it on the server, right?
Well, I'm about to upload it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that.
Because I
Okay.
had that, the
Yeah, yeah.
first two were like a correct semicolon, and then I got that one, and I'm like, oh, it's probably because of
I thought you, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, the rig is not there. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was on the server. I got lots of video. Is it on the server?
Yeah.
Did you put some value there? Let me see how you submit that. Can you copy this and put it in a Google Let's go but just clean up some of the specifics that have to be just removed from here.
Yeah, you're right. It works.
Oh,
So that's what I got.
let's first of all double check maybe your code because she has actually a different issue. Okay. So let's look at your form in the user PHP to make sure once underscore updates. Okay. So let's now make sure this name in PHP is
Yeah, this is.
oh, wait. Oh, you do have it? Okay. And then let's look at the last part where this is used.
You get a noise when you want it done, and then you start putting it in.
Yeah.
These are all photos that I got.
Maybe try calling it again. Yeah, it could be. Yes, try calling it.
Yeah, question.
Yeah.
Trying to put all this together. I'm not really sure what to do.
Which, what are we looking at? More code is
It's so weird.
The example works.
Okay.
Looks like this. It doesn't have the styling. I don't have.
The styling file?
I have the main.
Okay.
Okay, so display results is what we have. And there's.
Can you magnify this a little bit? I can't see.
Yeah.
Main CSS and then bin.css.
Yeah, but did you upload it to the server? Maybe it's not on the server. I mean, I'm just guessing here, but. So we'll go ahead and just, just make sure it's in the right place.
Yeah, I was thinking the
I think I did it automatically saved, but that's not
It's on there.
Let's look at it again. It must not be there. So let's look at.
So maybe we should, do you want to look at the file structure and see what Max is doing with these files and not just?
They should, the files for today's project should be all in the same, but, you know, in the root directory. Actually, let me, I'm going to turn off our recording now.